And we are recording.
Here. Bubba, come here. Come to mommy. Yeah, it's easy.
Oh.
Alright.
We are a go. Boy, are we a mess.
Hey everybody. Heather.
And then Chad. And we got Grady on.
And Grady.
And of course, Bella the ghost hunting dog. We're here from CHP Paranormal Investigations.
And this is After the Haunt.
Our first session ever of our, I guess, discussion of what we experienced during our investigation.
So we're going to be doing this after every investigation, about 2 to 3 days after the video is posted. We're hoping that eventually, that once we get to do YouTube live, that we could go ahead and at that time you guys could comment right away on the things that you guys have found in the videos for us, and we could have a discussion about the investigation. And with about 5, maybe 10 minutes left, we'll open it up for just a round table discussion about the paranormal, any type of paranormal.
A Q&A session.
Yeah, pretty much.
This particular session of After the Haunt is the return to Myrtle Hill, which we conducted that investigation on April 5th, and we were joined by spectral researchers of Central Florida. Their team members Debbie, Robert,
and James.
James.
And they have their own YouTube channel, by the way, so be sure to check out Spectral Researchers of Central Florida YouTube page. Subscribe to them. You know, they're just starting out, so let's go ahead and support them too.
You'll find when you go to our YouTube channel that this particular investigation spanned 3 videos and about
4
videos.
Yeah, because the second part was split up A, B, and
right.
C.
During the first video, we visited and investigated the Chimes Tower. So, Grady, would you like to start with your experience inside the Chimes Tower and some of the things that you had happen or recalled from that experience?
Oh yeah, of course. What I found really interesting was that usually we don't get a whole lot of stuff from the Chimes Tower, but we were getting a lot of voices through the necrophonic app, and we kept getting the name Emma for some unknown reason. We found an Emma in one of the actual placards there, and we really do think it was her. She had died young. She was a little girl.
Actually,
I also remember.
Grady, real quick, just not meaning to really cut you off, but I'm beginning to think, after reviewing the video a little bit more, that we were actually talking to her husband, Herbert, because the couple times that it mentioned Emma or anything, it was a guy's voice. And there's just there was other things that we realized within rewatching the videos that really is leading me to the conclusion that we weren't talking to Emma. I feel like Herbert was expecting to meet Emma in that afterlife and is still looking for her, and Emma possibly passed on.
That would make a lot of sense, especially seeing how he kept calling out her name. He might have very well been looking for her.
Yeah.
So, okay, but I didn't mean to cut you off.
Also, what I found was really interesting was when Belle ended up getting up on that centerpiece too.
Yeah, that's something she's never done before. This is actually, I think, was our 3rd trip into the Chimes Tower.
Our 3rd trip.
and there's this entombment. Now, mind you, the Chimes Tower in itself isn't an ordinary mausoleum. It is specifically for cremations. And dead center of the Chimes Tower, there's this bench looking entombment. Um, there's nothing on the outside as far as a placard that would indicate who's there, but it's not a bench. And Bella jumped up onto it and was whining, and this, she's never, not once in all the trips we've made there, reacted that way or gotten on top of that entombment.
Yeah. And did you find anything else?
I don't know if she was drawn there or maybe she was surrounded, and maybe that was the only safe place she felt. I don't know what she was doing that night.
Right, and actually, if I'm looking at my notes, that was about 10 minutes into our session there, and she kept whining. She wouldn't get off, even with us attempting to coax her off of it, and it just, it was.
When we asked how many spirits were there, they said 17. I think that was the number they reviewed.
Let's see. I reviewed today. We got a couple different answers through the Necro app. We got the number 8, and then we got the number 17.
Yeah. And we also found some other pretty interesting things that we ended up getting on the Necro app that you know. One of them was
an attempt at saying my name.
Yeah, the attempt of saying Heather's name. And then when you asked about the flowers, Grady, there was the actually it actually says, there's a woman's voice that says flowers pretty. But what's really crazy is what Heather caught today when she was listening. There was a voice that actually says lobster.
And it actually occurred not long. Yeah, I was as I was reviewing the video today, the timestamp, 16 minutes and 35 seconds into the video, you hear a male voice whisper lobster. And then
oh, wow, I can't believe I missed that.
and then about 10 seconds later, you were asking if someone was affecting the dog, and in a child's voice through the Necro app, I heard me, like a little kid was playing with her. And then it goes back to hearing these whispers, the disembodied voices, and the next thing that was said in all of the whispers after your name, you hear a female voice, and all you could make out of what she was saying was his hands.
Was what?
His hands.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. So
Actually were able to see me and all that to
like
sort of know there was something strange with my hand.
a lot of the whispers I was catching in there, it was almost like there was this background conversation going on, and the spirits were just like, I guess, entranced with you in some way. Like there was this discussion going on, like they were trying to figure you out, even though we're there trying to figure them out.
so it leads me to conclude that we were dealing with a number of intelligent entities, and I don't believe there was any residual coming from there whatsoever. I believe we're dealing, but there's definitely intelligent.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the other thing the one that caught me off guard, because this was the first time it ever happened while we were there, at about 5 minutes and 53 seconds in the background, you get the distinct sound of a baby crying.
Yeah, you get like a quick.
Okay.
It's like one. Yeah.
And
real
then,
quick.
after you hear that sound, I'd say about 30 seconds later, if that, across the Necro app, we got a woman's voice that said, "Help me."
Okay.
So we were definitely catching a lot of activity.
I remember them saying that there was a number of spirits in there when we asked how many. And then, if you remember correctly, when you ended up taking those still shots, uh, Heather, there were all those orbs right by the door, right after Chad had actually had the door pulled out from him, basically. They were trying to, it felt like they were trying to
Right.
close it behind us.
Yeah, that's right. Because we didn't catch it on camera,
Unfortunately.
But I mean,
Oh,
I did get I was holding on to the door, and I was guiding it shut. So because when it gets about 5 inches or so, it does a quick slam. So I was trying to stop it from doing that slam. But when it got about halfway to it, after everybody was out, it was like somebody grabbed the other side of the door and tried to yank the door, and it actually pulled me off balance when it did that.
well, I remember. That was one of the best things I thought we caught, and I was hoping we were going to catch it on camera, but I know we had to have at least caught the conversation about it.
Oh,
The conversation
definitely.
we caught, and we also caught me opening the door and letting it close back again in my hand, showing that it doesn't just. So we debunked the fact that it was a suction because it didn't do the same yank again.
Air pressure or suction or
Yeah.
anything.
So that's debunked. That was definitely. I'm gonna chalk that up to paranormal, definitely.
Normally, the Chimes Tower, even though we get a fair amount of activity inside the Chimes Tower, it's never
Uncomfortable.
uncomfortable. And this night seemed very different. The atmosphere was different. The energy was different. And I almost want to attribute that to the fact that when we arrived, the doors were already open and standing wide open. Uh, that has never been before, at least not any time we've been there. And there was almost a sense of agitation just at the fact that, their doors were left open.
Yes. And then of course when we left from there, we went ahead and shot over to the garden mausoleum, where usually the garden mausoleum is where we catch that more of that uneasy, get the hell out of here experience, which we really didn't this time. It was
You're not wanted, but we're gonna tolerate
yeah,
you.
it was more of a we're gonna tolerate you for now, but it did seem that if we were gonna push the envelope a little bit more, I'm thinking if we would have stayed in there a little bit longer, I think that it would have amped up a little bit.
Now, the one thing I can say, like, while during my time in the guard mausoleum by myself, when the spirit communicator I was using came out with the word stand, the microphone, the recording actually picked up a loud whisper going, "Get out."
Yeah.
When I went back and I heard that, that was about, I'd say, 13 minutes actually into that video. And
No,
it was,
didn't it say leave now?
it said get out.
Which one was the leave now where you heard? Because you have to have headphones on to hear it. But it was like it was like almost the same kind of whisper she was talking about, and it was like a whisper, and I could have sworn to me it sounded female-ish, but it was like but it said leave now.
That was actually the one you're saying leave now. I believe happened when all three of us were in there, almost towards the end of our session.
Or was it stay away or something like that? Stay away.
Because I mean, we kept pretty much getting the same message over and over again while we were inside the garden
it was
mausoleum.
stay away. That's what it was. It wasn't leaving out. It was stay
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, that was at 22 minutes in. You hear this growling like whisper telling you to stay away.
Yeah.
Because this was our third visit. We've been unwanted every time we've gone there. With it being your first visit to the garden mausoleum, what did you feel or get from it?
It was his first visit with us.
Yeah, your first visit with us.
So what's your insights when you visited with us though?
Well, like I said even on the video, when I had been there before, I got the same thing. It was a very oppressive feeling, but it wasn't quite as like hardcore as this time as it was in the last few that I had been. And I still say that there was a lot of movement in that graveyard that night. If you remember, between the Giant's Tower and the Garden Mausoleum, Heather, you ended up catching a shot of a mist straight up crossing our path, which again shows movement.
I can't wait to get those pictures out.
Either of those, in previous investigations, were actually in the same place.
And yeah, I honestly I can't wait to get those pictures out for everybody to see, because we were standing there, and I think it was what we were discussing, it was the double tree that almost made an archway over the path. And I took the first picture, and there was this mist covering maybe a quarter of the upper left hand side of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And then I snapped the second picture within a 30-second time frame, and you have this mist covering almost the entire frame.
Yeah.
And then within another 30-second, and then I snap the third picture, and it's gone.
Yeah, we were.
Like there was a lot of movement that night.
Yeah, there was, and I mean, even when Heather went into the garden mausoleum by herself, you know, both times Bella was just off the chain. She was.
Yeah, honestly, I wish we would have been able to film that too, because me and you were both discussing why she was freaking out so much. She's never usually done that, you said.
No, I mean, me or Heather could leave the car at a store, any place, go inside, and she's fine. You know, and normally I could be holding Heather, and she could walk off when we're at a place like that, and Bella's fine.
Yeah, as long as one of us has her or control of her leash.
Yeah, but she was not liking the fact that you went inside that mausoleum by yourself.
Yeah, extremely anxious.
You know, and she just couldn't wait for us to finally have a chance to go inside with you.
I did catch some interesting things when I was reviewing inside the mausoleum when we did our lights out session.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of whispers. Most of the whispers going on, even though you can hear the whispers, you can't quite make out what they're saying. But the majority of the text or context of what was going on was leave, get out, just repeatedly. Um, I have recorded. I started hearing whispers after we first went lights out. Then I got a male voice about 26 and a half minutes in saying you have to get out. Then I just heard this jumble of multiple voices and this hissing sound.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after the hissing sound, a whisper, and I was actually able to make this one out. I said, "Go home." And then at 29 minutes, Grady, you start talking to him. You tell him to stop playing games. And when you say stop playing games, right after you can hear a woman's voice say, "I'm not."
Okay.
So I mean, we
That's really, really good documentation.
yeah, even though we didn't notice all the activity we got, we did get a lot of activity actually inside the garden mausoleum. And did we catch a lot of activity on the outside? I mean, other than I know Grady, you saw a